might be interesting for people to kind of know the history of this symbol right here. Everyone knows what this is, right?
Yes.
Right? This has been used by revolutionaries for over 100 years. And what it means is this. You have one finger, you can't do anything. What are you going to do? Push someone away with one finger? With all the fingers together are unstoppable. And that's us right now, all coming together, getting organized. So thank you so much, everyone who's out here. Can everybody hear me okay?
Yeah.
All right. Glad to see so many people out here. I want to again thank everybody who came, thank everybody who co-sponsored, who brought themselves and their friends out. I'm not going to try not to repeat too many of the things people have already said today. I want to especially thank DefundWPD for providing such an excellent source of facts and information. If people are not following them on social media, they put out the numbers that you really need to see when it comes to this city. And I think it's important. I think we've all seen it go around a few times. The safest communities don't have the most cops. They have the most resources.
Yeah.
They have the best jobs. They have the safest schools.
Yes.
That's not from the cops.
No.
It's a result of having the money, the funding, and the services needed. So when we're talking about what's going on in Wisconsin and in other cities, Minneapolis, New York City, LA, and we bring it back to here. And the question of what can we do here in Worcester, Massachusetts? I've lived here my whole life, and I know what everybody says, right? Worcester doesn't exist. Boston or nothing, right? We have problems here.
Yeah.
We have a fight here that we can carry out. That is part of that national fight. That is part of the same fight as what's going on in Wisconsin, in Minneapolis, all around the country, and all around the world. And when we look around today, we could say, this is pretty good. This is a good number of people. There have been more in the past. There have been more at other events. We need to aim for more.
Yeah.
When we're talking about keep showing up, keep organizing, keep fighting, we can't just keep spinning our wheels, because we've been doing that since May. We've flooded city council, hundreds of people. They've ignored us. They've blocked people from the call.
Yeah.
They've kicked people out. They've arguably violated laws doing so.
Yes.
It's not enough to just keep showing up with the same numbers, with the same people. You have to broaden the fight. You have to deepen the movement. We need more people, more organizations.
Yes.
And that's the program that we have to put forward here in Worcester. Because we showed up months ago, and now we're showing up again, and it's hard. She was right when she said it's hard. Many of us are working, or we're students. We're burnt out.
Yeah.
We're underpaid. We don't have enough to keep going. And we keep going, and we try to do more. We fight for people beyond ourselves. And what does the city do? It spits in our face. It gives more money to the cops. It cuts the school budget. It lays off teachers. It closes bus routes. We keep showing up. We keep protesting. And what do we get? We get slapped in the face. Punches to the gut. Shots in the back. So we need more. But it can't just be us acting on behalf of the community. It needs to be the community acting for itself. And that community needs to be organized. We need to have our energy focused. We need to have our ideas straight. We need to know what we're fighting for and what we're demanding. So Independent Socialist Group is calling for a coalition of labor, the unions that aren't here right now but should be, and the progressive organizations around this city, those that are here, those that have been here in the past, and those that aren't here yet.
Yes.
We need to hash out what we're going to do beyond just the protests.
Yeah.
Beyond just going every couple of months in the hundreds. We need houses. We need action. We need strikes. We need disruption. But it needs to be democratic. There need 5 of us going out and saying, we're doing it for the people. The people have to do it themselves. It's exactly what St. Hampton said. It's exactly what the Panthers said. And so I say, if you're in Worcester, join Independent Socialist Group, join an organization, get organized in a coalition, and figure out what we're gonna do next, how we're gonna fight, what we're gonna fight for.
Yeah.
The last point, as our first step, we're organizing a public meeting. It's going to be on Zoom, unfortunately. We'd love to have it in person, but it's still not safe. On Thursday, September 3rd at 7 p.m., come to the table, pick up a flyer, get our contact information, get the link. We'll get you in the meeting and we can talk, right?
Yeah.
And we can organize, we can fight.
We're here to spread awareness about systemic racism, and we're here because we're sick and tired of performative activism with no real change. On Thursday, I attended a webinar about the history of Cristino Fernandez. For those of you who don't know who this man was, he was someone who worked hard to support his family. He came here from El Salvador to escape this dire civil war. He was also extremely afraid of the police due to the uniformed soldiers who would terrorize the countryside of El Salvador. On July 6, 1993, he was severely beaten by the Worcester police. It was caught on video and many compared it to what happened to Rodney King and now George Floyd. It was similar in the fact that an officer put a knee on his neck and that he was forced to the ground for 4 minutes and that his murderers were never held accountable for their actions. Fernandez died in a coma 10 days later, his last words being, "I can't breathe." The officers were accused of applying excessive force and delaying medical attention, rightfully so, but in the end it was deemed that the officers acted in good faith. During all this, they also got paid administrative leave pending the internal investigation and had no penalty since. It was heartbreaking but unsurprising to see that police brutality is not new to Worcester. Unfortunately, Worcester is not different than other cities, as many of our local leaders repeatedly claim. We've had a history of this. Last Monday, there was a monthly Board of Health meeting where members met with the Worcester Police Department representatives to discuss racism, bias, and discrimination. The conversation was delayed by about 2 months because Police Chief Sergeant couldn't make the meeting in June and also was a no-show in July. I cannot tell you how stunned I was to hear that right off the bat, Chief Sergeant did not believe that there was any ounce of racism in his department and that he has never once seen any racism during his time on the force. He says this, but he was also actively on the force during the Hernandez case. How can we believe the Worcester Police Department wants the best for us, even though on June 1st, cops claimed to stand beside us during the George Floyd rally about violence against the Black and brown community, only to mace protesters hours later? They stood by us only to deny any chance or possibility of systemic racism in their department, only to tell the Board of Health that racism was none of their business. You cannot reform this. You cannot give the police department upwards of $9 million for a body camera program that is minimally effective at best. The Public Safety Committee has explicitly said multiple times that they aren't implementing body cameras to change police behavior because they believe the behavior of the police is already perfect. The call to action for this is simple. Get involved, but not just electorally. You cannot stop at voting. There is a strength in numbers and we outnumber them by thousands. I urge you to speak to your family and friends about this. And we need to work together and start in our community because change must start somewhere.
Hey everybody, thank you so much for coming out today. My name's Elizabeth, I'm a teacher and I'm a member of the Independent Socialist Group. Okay. So a week ago, Floyd pulled over to break up a fight. He called the police, expecting them to de-escalate the fight. Instead, as he was getting in his car to leave, he was shot in the back 7 times in front of his children. The media has demonized Blake, saying that he was reaching for a knife, which is false. And they've also been sharing a picture of the right-wing terrorist, Kyle Rittenhouse, cleaning graffiti. For a time, the police in Kenosha chained Blake to his hospital bed, but the cops have paralyzed him from the waist down. Cops murdered George Floyd by kneeling on his neck for nearly 9 minutes in Minneapolis. Cops murdered Breonna Taylor by shooting her in her sleep in Louisville. The brutality of recent acts of police brutality is sickening. And these incidents continue. Despite the Black Lives Matter movement coming out, one of the largest social movements in the U.S. history, and we haven't gotten the reforms that we need yet. But we can't and we won't stop fighting until we do. Trump has emboldened the right wing, so much so that Kyle Rittenhouse, a 17-year-old aspiring cop, crossed state lines with an automatic weapon to hunt and murder protesters. He shot 3 people, killing 2, who were both fathers to young children, and then walked right by the police, who allowed him to go home when they saw that he had killed people. The cops offered these right-wing militias water and thanked them for their help. And the police chief in Kenosha insists that his officers did nothing wrong. That it was the protesters' own fault that they died because they broke curfew, which of course is ludicrous. Of course, the right-wing militias also broke curfew. Kyle Rittenhouse transported guns across state lines, also against the law. We don't hear the police chief talking about that. This is hypocrisy. It's disgusting, but this is not an isolated incident. And while Trump has emboldened the right wing, these acts of police violence have been going on really since the inception of the police in the U.S. So we can't just place all the blame on Trump. The Democrats are also to blame. Just the other day in California, the Democrat-dominated state legislature voted down several police reform bills, which were really mild to begin with, mainly wanting to give more power to the Attorney General to investigate police shootings and make police operations more transparent to the public. And the fact that they shot this down, these mild set of reforms, the fact that they were shot down is really telling. These reforms aren't even close to where we need to go to improve the lives and safety of our Black and brown brothers and sisters, and really to improve the lives and safety of the working class as a whole. In 37 American cities, mainly dominated by Democrats, and even here in Worcester, Black Lives Matter murals were commissioned and painted. And of course, this is a great first step, but what does it actually change? These corporate politicians wanted to make tokenistic and empty gestures to get us to stop, but we will not. We will not stop until we have justice for Jacob Blake, for Elijah McClain, for Breonna Taylor, for George Floyd, and for the hundreds and thousands of police victims of police brutality. Joe Biden and his running mate Kamala Harris cannot fundamentally change the way policing is done in the U.S. just because the police are a fundamental tool of capitalism. When we talk about institutional racism that's inherent in the capitalist system, the police are the #1 example. So yeah, Trump has emboldened the right wing, which has made the situation worse. But the alternative to Trump will not make the situation any better. What we need is our own party, made by and for working people, that doesn't answer to corporations or their money, and that instead can actually fight for and implement policies that will improve our lives. Policies like Medicare for all, Socialist Green New Deal, community control over the police, public housing, fully funded education, and so much more. And all of this is possible. All of this is possible. But it won't be readily given to us. We have to fight for it, and so we will.
A round of applause. Thank you everyone who came out here. This was amazing. A lot of you know in Worcester, we've been struggling, for many, many years, many more years than I've been in the city, but, at least the turn movement for the past 4 months. We're still out here. We're not going away. And I want to thank all the people that came out and co-sponsored, that you heard from. Lastly, I want to say that this is just one event. This is not the end. This is one step in a broader struggle. So I encourage you, please, We are having a meeting September 3rd to discuss how to bring this movement forward, not only in Worcester, but in the country at large. Come to the tables over here, get the information for the Zoom meeting. We want to see you there. We want to get organized. We want to move forward. Because we have no faith in the Republican Party. We have no faith in the Democratic Party. We only have faith in the people. And like the Black Panther said, all power to the people.